The San Gabriel Mountains. Beautiful, majestic. A playground for outdoor enthusiasts. But what happens when tragedy strikes in this harsh terrain?
Okay, one, two, three. Good.
Only one rescue team is equipped to save lives in these California mountains.
Yeah, right.
The crew of Air Rescue 5 takes us on an incredible journey where we'll experience the drama.
Motorcycle down at 45.00, needs medical aid.
The pain.
You just relax. I'm gonna put you on the helicopter now.
The preparation.
Good job, guys, good job.
And the thrill of saving lives.
Come on, Pops.
We, as a group, have one job, and one job only, and that's mountain rescue.
Every day, the Air Rescue 5 crew meets at California's Long Beach Airport for their morning commute in this flying ambulance.
I recently got selected. I came over from the Special Weapons Team, or SWAT team.
We don't say no. If you give us something to handle, we put out the maximum effort possible to get that job done, and we don't quit till it's over with.
With the helicopter prepped and ready to go, they begin the 40-mile journey to their base camp, located high above Los Angeles in the San Gabriel Mountains.
It's a very tough unit to be in. It's a very tough unit to stay in.
1, 2, 3. You guys.
These are the top swimmers, top runners, top climbers, and they know how to save lives.
Arriving at their base camp, the crew begins their daily routine. The goal is to stay occupied, sharp, and ready for a call.
Motorcycle to the side and mile marker 56.
All right, let's go.
Tree.
Each crew member has a vital role, including pilot Dave Martin.
As a pilot, myself and Bruce are chauffeurs. We take these people in to where they want to be and let them do the work.
Yep, that was it.
As a paramedic, Rick Hernandez needs to be prepared for anything.
I'm one of the guys that did all the rappelling. I'm a mountaineer, do ice rescue. I'm one of the medics on the SWAT team. I'm also a diver.
Mike Connolly is one of the crew chiefs who oversee the entire rescue operation.
I'm kind of like a coordinator in the overall search operation here. And I coordinate our paramedics, coordinate with the pilots, and coordinate with the people on the ground. I would say my main job is to make sure that everybody goes home at night and they're safe.
240, David.
As they make their way toward the accident scene, the air rescue team learns that a motorcyclist has driven off a steep cliff.
Okay, we're here, boys. As soon as we see the people right around this next bend. Where's the victim? He's under the tree. You see him under the trees?
The pilot must land the helicopter on the narrow mountain road above the accident site, an area just big enough for a safe landing.
Our blade system is so large that you have actually a sheer cliff on one side that comes down to the road, and on the other side you have 4 trees there, one of which I've trimmed before.
The crew chief, Tom, coordinates the rescue and monitors communications, while Rick, Doug, and volunteer Dr. Louis Kwong make their way down toward the victim. Although the crew wants to reach the victim as quickly as possible, the challenging terrain requires caution.
Watch the rocks, Rick, rock.
Rick and Doug's goal is to stabilize, treat, and transport the patient to the nearest hospital.
Richard, were you wearing your helmet, Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I can't feel from here down.
Okay, partner.
Oh.
We can't do anything about that right now. We're just going to get you stabilized, get you in there, and then the doctor. We got an orthopedic guy with us. He's on his way down the hill right now.
He tells me that he has no feelings from the nipple line down, and he's completely numb, which indicates that he's probably got a serious spinal cord injury. So he was in pretty serious condition.
All right, let me notify Huntington we got cold trauma coming, and let's do a winch out real quick. Let's get him out of here.
The dangerous terrain and the victim's possible spinal cord damage make a winch out necessary. A specially designed stretcher called a litter or Stokes basket will be used to hoist the patient up into the hovering helicopter.
The wind may be a factor. We're going to lower the Stokes to you.
Rick and his team need to stabilize the patient on the litter and ready him for the winch out, while Tom and the pilots prepare for the hoist. At this altitude on a hot day, the overall weight of the helicopter becomes a critical factor and must be reduced.
One way of doing that is to burn off some of that almost 292 gallons of fuel. So if we can burn off 500 or 600 pounds of fuel, that's a couple of people.
It will take approximately 15 minutes to burn enough fuel to transport the victim and all 3 paramedics back to the hospital. If the patient is ready before enough fuel is burned, they'll leave one of the paramedics behind.
We have what is called a golden hour in trauma. In other words, if someone is involved in a trauma criteria accident, if we can get them in the hospital within an hour, the chances are that they will survive the accident.
Okay, Richard, you know, routine there. We're going to put you in this backboard, okay? And it's going to hurt. Richard, it's going to hurt here, okay? We're going to get you in this backboard.
We're going to log roll him? We're going to lift him and log roll him, boys.
We're going to log roll him. Okay, wait. Let me get... When they're moaning in a lot of pain, that gives us some idea of his mental state. That gives us an idea of where his blood pressure is and where he's at mentally and physically as far as the injury is concerned. So, moaning is kind of a good thing. It doesn't sound good when you're listening to the guy, complaining about some pain. But for us, it means that he's still with us and that he still feels pain, so things are still working.
Easy, guys.
But it's all dependent on the weight. We'll let you know.
If we go right here, we got a clear shot, and we won't have to try to get in a safer spot.
Tommy, how does this look right here?
All right.
We're above the trees here, a little higher. Can you get some snatches at it?
If you could move it down just a little bit, that would help.
Unfortunately, down means all the way down. Yeah. Because it's too steep.
After stabilizing the patient, it's important for us now to bring the patient out into an area that is safe for the helicopter to hold their hover and to lower a cable and safely bring the patient up, putting the patient and the rescue personnel as well as the helicopter at a minimum of risk.
Air 5, go ahead and keep the city of Robert unit rolling.
The victim suffered a broken back, 8 broken ribs, 2 punctured lungs, one of which collapsed, and a cracked shoulder blade. The victim made it to the emergency room 35 minutes after the accident. It would have taken 4 times that long without Air Rescue 5. Before being put in service by the Aero Bureau, the Sikorsky S-58T helicopter was a workhorse of the Vietnam War, where another of Air 5's crew members got his start.
I first started flying in the military back about 1968 when Uncle Sam got himself in a bit of a jam way down yonder in Vietnam. The Sikorskys were used in Vietnam. Matter of fact, they were just being phased out when I got there. They were used for air ambulance to insert troops, transport people.
The helicopter has since been upgraded to fit the unique needs of Air 5.
Available for a hiker with a cut on his forehead in Eden Canyon.
The crew responds to a call from fire units in the canyon below.
We've got a victim about a quarter mile up canyon. We have Air 5 checking it out. I have Squad 11 and my firemen down trying to reach the victim at this time. We don't know yet whether we'll have an extraction. I have Light Force 82 also coming. I wanted to name this Pinecrest IC. I've got the men down there as
right at 3 o'clock. There's a guy waving his stick. You got him like that?
I'm trying to request
here.
White 7 for.
Okay, it's right there under the trees. Can I land you just above him and you guys joggy down to him? Where are you going to land above him? Right here. Right here in the rocks. Sure.
Crew Chief Paul Hoffman chooses to land in a clearing a few hundred yards from the victim.
What's the plan? Are you guys going to shut down here or lift off? We're going to go rescue somebody. We're going to go lift off. And we'll come and get you. Okay.
Air Squad 8 on scene in the ignition.
Henry to 950, David. David here. He's telling us to hold her, know where it is. Okay, hold up.
The injured hiker has suffered a potentially serious head trauma. Paramedics from the fire department have already prepared the patient for transport to the hospital.
It probably looks like we're going to make a transport here. I'll get back to you in a minute. Should we walk him out to the bridge, or you want to do a hoist out here?
Push the hoist. Oh, whatever you want. Push the hoist.
Sheriff 5, we're going to go in and do the hoist out.
The victim is bleeding from the head, but is awake and oriented.
He's okay. He just got an okay oriented. He just got a laceration on the head. We're all right.
I should leave you out there, fish.
The victim arrives at the hospital within minutes of being hoisted into the helicopter. Coming up, a daring motorcycle rescue on the side of a mountain.
Sure, you get hang outside the helicopter, put your feet in the doorway, and they say go. You just usually smoke down to the bottom.
This TLC program
1-888-21-BRINKS.
Air Rescue 5 is responding to a call to retrieve a father and his 2 young children from a remote area called the Devil's Punch Bowl. Today's temperature has risen above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, leaving the 4- and 5-year-old children in danger of heat stroke.
I'm ready when you are. Okay, I'm dropping rope. Ready, die.
Okay, rope's on the ground. First man hooked in. First man swinging out. Tail looks good.
The paramedics rappel down to make sure that no one needs immediate medical attention.
First man is on the ground. Okay, looking good. Second man. Second man's hooking up.
Don't settle. Don't settle.
Okay, second man on his way down.
But with the family 7 miles from the nearest road, Air 5 needs to fly them out.
Aero is hooking up. You can come right a little bit. You can come right. Okay, ready for the load? Yes, sir. Okay, load's on.
You got room on the right. You got room on the right. Okay, you're clear of the tree on the left. Okay, they're about 5 feet out. Start lifting a little bit, is that all right? Yeah.
Adults can be hoisted into the helicopter, but small children must be loaded directly inside.
Just come steady right now. Steady right. Okay, slow.
The rocky ravine makes a full landing impossible, so the helicopter remains airborne while balancing one wheel on a rock.
Okay, wheels touching. Going 149. Yeah, wheels touching. Okay, I got one of them. Did I check it? Okay, I got the other kid. I got Ricky. Let's go. Straight up. You're pulling 98. 98. Tail's good, rotor's good. On your room.
With the exception of some mild dehydration, everyone is fine.
Good job.
Between rescues, Air Rescue 5's mountain base can be a peaceful place. But the rare moments of relaxation are outnumbered by endless hours of exercise and training. Crew members must also stay sharp with a gun. While their main job is rescue, their first job is law enforcement.
I'm really pleased with the gun.
That's tremendous.
To even be considered for this elite team, rigorous standards must be met that separate the merely good from the excellent.
These are the most fit members of the LA County Sheriff's Department. Really, for their age, they can hold their own with the best of anyone of any age.
We're gonna go, Gary.
Despite an average age of 45, crew members are in top shape and are trained paramedics, mountaineers, scuba, and hard hat divers. Air Rescue 5 paramedics are also members of the SWAT team.
They're fully trained. A lot of them have, in fact, have a background. They were SWAT personnel, and they continue to train with us, continue to cross-train, continue to have proficiency in the weapons. So they're multifaceted. Thank God you're there.
Each year, a grueling physical endurance test challenges crew members to jog 5 miles non-stop, climb and rappel a mountain, all while carrying 30 to 40 pounds of equipment.
We run over the side, we drop over the edge, run down the highway, carrying all the gear that we're going to need.
We got a guy that's 65.
And then we start stages where they have problems.
There's the scramble right there, guys. Up the hill. Get up the hill.
What's going on?
Huh? Get him up there. Teamwork. Get him up there.
On rappel. Going for the 4 hours, Big Daddy.
Okay. After another mile of running, the next challenge is to quickly rig and lower a litter down a steep hill.
You set to go?
It's good to go.
One last run, and a scale of the water tank.
Couple more steps.
18.
Yeah. 47, 18.
As helpful as intense training of this kind is, it cannot replace on-the-job experience. Today, the air rescue crew will take a break from rescuing people to do more traditional police work. They will utilize their diving skills while searching for a missing murder weapon.
So what we have is that they stabbed him with a 12-inch butcher knife, kitchen type, 12-inch blade, wooden handle, and a small Phillips screwdriver. They tell us that they took it with them to a house, a trailer, and disposed of it, but that's sort of iffy. It stands to reason, sort of, that they would stab him with it, bloody knife, they had blood all over him. They stabbed him 27 times, that they would just throw it in the water. So that's what we have, and if they could throw it any place here, if they came up here, they could have thrown it that way, so maybe, probably throwing distance up there.
So would you say from here to those balls?
That's what I was.
Typically, when we go down the aqueduct, it's pretty tough diving. The current, the visibility is 0, and mostly everything's done by feel.
Crew members call this black water diving.
You gonna wear a helmet, Tom?
To keep the divers together, they all grasp a rope with one hand, leaving the other free to feel for the weapon along the bottom. The spotter slowly moves the rope forward as the divers continue their underwater search.
During our search, we actually found another knife. We don't think it was the same knife that was used for the murder weapon because it had a different blade that they described. We found several other objects down there, and then we found this really curious bundle that was wrapped in carpet and kind of tied up. It was not very long, maybe 36 inches long. We thought it was a small coffin, actually.
Okay, detectives, come open this.
Dreading what they might have found, a homicide detective is called down to help unwrap the bundle. The bundle is nothing more than a stolen payphone. While locating payphones is a pretty unusual activity, rescuing motorcyclists is not. The high and winding roads of the San Gabriel Mountains make for challenging riding conditions and many accidents.
Well, it's one of our most common business adventures is getting the motorcyclists that go up there on the winding mountain road on their rice rockets and see how fast they can get from point A to point B. And again, because this terrain is decomposing granite, it's constantly shaling down onto the road, and these guys are coming around a corner at warp factor 6, hit some of that loose stuff, and sometimes they end up 300 or 400 or 500 feet over the side.
And when that happens, Air Rescue 5 is called in to rescue the victims.
Come left if you are, Roger, come left. Okay, you got plenty of room right. Come left, you're going to hit that tree on your side. Come left, come left. No, he's not going to hit it. We're not even close, Dave. We're cool. No, I'd rather be cautious. That's good. Hey, you got to have a little faith in the crew chief, Dave.
The crew responds to a motorcycle accident deep in the mountains. This rider hit some loose gravel, slid 50 feet, and suffered significant abrasions.
When the crew arrives on the scene of an accident, our first job is to make an initial assessment of the magnitude of injuries that are sustained by that patient, so we can determine whether or not this is a critically injured patient where every second counts in stabilizing and transporting that patient to a trauma center.
After stabilizing the patient and supporting his spine, they next administer medication and replace lost blood with an IV.
It increases the volume that is being pumped by the heart. In other words, if he's bleeding internally, there's not enough blood getting into his heart. So we replace that blood for a short time with normal saline. It's a fluid, and it just acts as a fluid replacement.
Anybody who's compromised, whether it be from injury or illness, there usually is a diminished amount of blood flowing to particular areas of the body or the body in general, and sometimes the oxygen content of the blood is low. So by adding oxygen to it, we're just providing them something that they need to sustain life.
Okay, get some hands on to help us carry him over. Oh, thank you.
1, 2, 3. We got it. Yeah, Jerry.
Once on board, the crew chief, Mike, collects the victim's vital information.
Okay, we got a male here, about 50 years old, stable vital signs of major facial trauma. What's his BP? His BP is 120 over 80. Okay. You ready to call him up?
Mike's job is to relay this information to the hospital as soon as possible. This gives the hospital staff a warning and the ability to help treat the patient before he even leaves the accident scene.
He was possible KO'd for a few minutes, unknown by a witness. Okay. There's trauma, right? His chief complaint. Yeah, he's disoriented.
This patient is fortunate. Although he suffered a deep laceration over his eyes, as well as a punctured right eye, bruised ribs, and a broken left wrist, he survives this very close call. The crew responds to a chilling call from dispatch. A rider is down, this time over the side of the road.
Yeah, 42, you got any wind down there? No, it's probably pretty calm. A report from my EMTs down below. Victim has no pulse. Okay, we'll get in there as quick as we can.
The crew chief, Mike, decides the quickest way to get his paramedics to the victim is by having them rappel out of the helicopter.
Okay, where do you want to put them? Well, I want to put them up right about that motorcycle, Roger. It's a long rappel. Okay, go.
We have a 150-foot rappelling rope, and we use 125 feet of it. Not only was the rappel a long rappel, but the hillside was so steep that we were landing on. It made it even scarier.
55. He's almost allowed to bring the tail to your left. Tail to your left a little. Tail to your left.
A rappel of this length is like jumping off a 12-story building.
We always hope it's going to be a long rappel, because the longer it is, usually the more fun it is. You turn and hang outside the helicopter, put your feet in the doorway, and then they say go. You just usually smoke down to the bottom. Of course, the helicopter's at his most dangerous time there. He's flying at maximum power, and you want to get off that rope as fast as you can, because if there's a problem, you're the one that's going to be left behind. They're going to cut you, and rather than lose the whole helicopter and the rest of the guys on board.
On the ground, the early indications are not good.
Sunday night on TLC.
The Air Rescue 5 crew has responded to an accident scene where a motorcyclist has gone off the road and fallen hundreds of feet.
The victim was up between some trees, so we had to actually hike back uphill and get to him. We found him laying with his head down position. Not right now. We have to do is get him up as fast as we can so we can put an endotracheal tube in him. He's non-breathing, no pulse, and he looked like he had thrown up and aspirated. Can you grab this from that tree up there?
Hey, this is just rapidly turning into a body recovery, I think.
Verify if you got me, Edwards.
Go ahead, Bill.
We got no pulse, no spontaneous respirations. His pupils are blown. He's been down at least 20 minutes. We're going to call this a DOA here.
Okay, do we want to bring him up to the top there at least, or do they want to hoist him up? Whatever you guys want.
You know, we really feel bad about these situations, but it's not, you know, we can't bring people back to life. And we made the determination at that point in time, just, you know, he was dead. And, we then just made it a body recovery.
Air Rescue 5 faces responsibilities like these on a daily basis. Their job is made even more difficult by the rough terrain and extreme conditions of the mountains. But steep mountains are only one of the many natural obstacles that make Air 5's rescues challenging. Air Rescue 5 has jurisdiction over Los Angeles County, from the desert region of Lancaster to the San Gabriel Mountains, to downtown Los Angeles and Catalina Island. This area contains 9.6 million people and some amazingly diverse terrain. A 30-minute car ride can get you to just about any natural condition you can imagine, including the steep and rocky mountains with their snow-covered peaks in winter, the dry and barren desert areas, the urban congestion of Los Angeles, and the islands just off the Pacific coast.
We're responsible for anything that they could dispatch us to in Los Angeles County, and that's approximately about 4,000 square miles.
With such a wide range of terrain to cover, they do, however seldom, sometimes get just a little lost.
Okay, Gold Harbor is on this side, right? I think Gold Harbor is on the back side. I do too. I think Gold Harbor, Mike, is just a little bit by Catalina Harbor, but I certainly have a blank. I used to have a whole map of the whole island in my little book up here, but over the years it got disintegrated. So did that.
In this confusing urban wilderness, about 1/5 of Air 5's rescues take place within the city limits of Los Angeles.
Got a school right behind us. Well, where do you want to land? You tell me, you guys. Go east of the fucking ladder in the middle of the street.
When there's a need for an air ambulance down in the city there, we'll fly down from here, and we have pretty quick ETAs. We get down to the scene, land in a field or in the middle of this intersection or on the freeway, pick up a victim, and fly into the trauma center.
In this case, a 3-car collision has left 6 people in critical condition.
Air 5 was called to that particular scene in the city because of the distance it is to a trauma center. We had an accident there with fatalities and injuries that required people to be transported to a trauma center, and they're outside of the distance that would be able to do that by ground.
Accident scenes like this one often bring together police, ambulance, fire, and air rescue units. Working together with the other departments is crucial.
The coordination in a scene like that is actually real good because you have an incident commander. You have someone who's overseeing the whole thing, and is making sure that all things are getting done, and it makes our job real easy because they tell us where to land, and we land, and they bring us the patient.
The Air 5 crew rushes one of the victims from the crash scene to the nearest hospital.
Once we get off in the helicopter en route to the hospital, we are continuing with treatment. Sometimes there are other things that still need to be done. Oftentimes we're doing what's called scoop and run, where the person is in such extreme critical condition that we need to get them to the hospital right away. But en route, we're doing other things like starting the IVs, managing airways. There are places where it would take several hours to get the victim to an ambulance and into the hospital, whereas with Air 5, if we can get a patient on board, we can be at just about, from any location here, be at a hospital no more than 15 minutes.
Reduced delivery time is never more important than in the remote desert areas of Los Angeles County. Here, 40 miles away from the nearest hospital, a man has collided with a telephone pole. For Air 5 volunteer doctor Louis Kwong, the first step is surveying the situation.
There's a lot of information we gain just knowing a small amount of information regarding the facts surrounding the accident. The telephone pole had to have been struck by sufficient magnitude to break the pole completely off. And at the time of the examination of the patient, he was not entirely alert, not oriented. We need to assume in any patient with an alteration of mental status who may not be able to give us accurate information that, number one, they have potentially head injury, closed head injury, and potentially an injury to the cervical spine. So we need to take precautions to safeguard that until it is ruled out with x-rays.
Doc, you just complained of pain across the left chest. Seatbelt maybe? No? Shoulder strap. Probably shoulder strap. Okay.
Seatbelts and safety harnesses, while protecting the patient's face and head from deceleration against the interior of the vehicle, can cause trauma to the chest, sternal fractures, and contusion of the heart. Any of these injuries can potentially be life-threatening. So we see bruising and other evidence of blunt chest trauma. And that's a true emergency, that's a trauma patient. And we need to transport that individual as quickly as possible.
This patient suffered a broken arm, a punctured lung, and some painful bruises. The crew travels from the desert into the mountains to join the search for a missing bicyclist who was last seen on these trails 8 hours ago.
Apparently, this missing bicyclist and his brother went for a bike ride. At some point, they became separated. I understand that the young man is mentally challenged, and they're afraid that he could just be off someplace and not even know that he is lost.
Well, we'll start basically at the bottom and just work our way up to the top, and hopefully we can solve this thing.
Our concerns is not only that he might be lost, but he could have gone over the side of the trail. He could be lying in some bushes, you know, injured and unable to get back onto the roadway where we can see him. So again, that's why the helicopter comes into play. We can do some heavyweight searching from the air and check the bushes and over the side of the trail.
Guy with a white shirt coming at us. See what he looks like here. Just get cut off. Looks like a red bike, doesn't it? The red bike. Looks like him. Air 5 units. I need someone. Does this guy have a helmet? Yes or no? Negative. Okay, one more thing. Does Cannondale mountain bike, was it kind of a upper end Cannondale frame? That's him. It's got to be upper. Okay, just give him a good hold sign or something just to stop. That's got to be there.
I think we become attuned to working with other law enforcement or government agencies, and most of them use this as a hold sign or a stop. And sometimes that doesn't work too well with missing persons or people that don't know they're missing. When we found out that he wasn't going to comply with our hand signals to stop or to hold, we landed in front of him so that he would have to come to us.
After reuniting the lost biker with his family, the air rescue crew returns to the base. The crew gets a call for what may be their most challenging rescue ever.
Go over the side in the area of mile marker 27 at the first turnout.
The call started as a vehicle over the side. You never know when you're gearing up for one of those calls. Sometimes Somebody parked in a turnout, looks over the side, and they see a car down there, and it ends up just being a dump stolen.
See what it was? Was a vehicle over the side? Vehicle over the side.
You always launch out of here with the idea that the possibilities there that you have victims, and so the paramedics, knowing that it's going to be an over-the-side call, are geared up to do something technical, either repel or hoist out of the aircraft to get on site.
Air 5X on Patrol 16 is on scene, as well as the Lake County Fire Unit. They've got a vehicle 150 feet over the side with patients over the side, unknown how many at this time. Okay, we're looking. Bruce, it's around the corner here, on the south side of this bridge. Okay. Just letting you know, buddy. Okay, there's something down below us here. You got a person right there, straight out the gully. Okay, send him down or no? Yeah. Okay, we got him. Down here, we got a gal. We got 3. 200 feet below you, we got a car down here. 4, we got 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this one down at the lower end here looks... Yeah, I think the 3 bottoms could all 3 be fatalities. You see this? You copy that? No, the one's moving their legs. Right at the bumper of the car. Okay, we got what, 3 o'clock.
Call this toll-free number now for Everybody Polka. 2 cassettes, $19.98. 2 CDs, $26.98, plus $5.50 shipping. Have your credit card ready and call now.
Air Rescue 5 has found a family of 4 scattered across 450 feet of a Rocky Mountain cliff.
The family of 4 were parked in the turnout above where the accident occurred. They were sightseeing, enjoying the scenery. As they got ready to leave, the male driver, shifted the car into gear to back out, turned around, looked behind him to back out, stepped on the gas, and sped forward over the hump. He apparently put it in the wrong gear.
Okay, Bruce, if you can bring this thing up, I'd like to go right where the car is, you okay? Did copy all info. I hear the first turnout on Highway 2.
This one right here has got to be dead.
Hey, you and I, we're on a hot mic, Bruce.
It was relatively simple from a flying point of view. Wind wasn't a factor. It was relatively low altitude, so helicopter performance wasn't a factor. We know we're close enough when we start trimming the bushes.
They look dead. Okay, come up. You're trimming bushes. Come up. Bruce, come back. Go back, Bruce. Okay, right there.
We know we got to do something in a hurry. We're not going to sit on our hands. We're not going to wait for people to arrive. We, the 5-man crew, have got to get in there and do the best we can.
Good job, Bruce. Good job. Watch those blades, Dave. I'll watch it. Okay, I'm going to put one more guy out here now. One more guy out.
Paramedics Paul Hoffman and Daryl Earhart will be the first medics to reach the victims.
Well, we rappelled down into this little crevice, and we had a male and a female down there, an older gentleman and a younger girl, and one was literally laying on top of the other.
Once they're with the victims, Paul and Daryl must decide which patient to treat first.
You can only take care of one at a time. We're going to go out and work as a team, and we have to assess immediately, without wasting time, who do we think is be the quickest and safest to get off, and who may need it the most.
Rescue crews gathered on the road above have no choice but to climb down to the accident, unintentionally sending rocks crashing down toward the victims and paramedics.
My biggest concern in the chute was the rocks coming down. I was just trying to duck them, and I noticed my partner, Paul Hoffman, fending them off from side to side.
It became such a problem that Daryl actually took the pack that we carry and stuck it behind us as a shield to stop the rocks from hitting us and the 2 people there.
Okay, I'm ready to go back here. Okay, we're going in. Want to go up a little bit? Okay, I'm ready to go, Bruce. Come up above where we were before. We're at the same level we were before. Okay, but we'll go a little higher now. Okay. Okay, Bruce, I need you to come to your right now. Steady right. Steady right. Steady right. Steady right. Those guys to stop. Those guys up on top of the hill, they got to stop. I got no communication with them. Dave, come to your right. Let's take care of this.
While Mike lowers the litter to the paramedics, pilots Bruce and Dave come eye to eye with the youngest accident victim.
It was kind of tough to sit there, and we're 30 yards out, and we're looking her straight in the eyes. We're at her level, and she raises her hand up. She doesn't do much with it. She's just sitting there. She looks like she's really beat. It's really, really tough sitting there watching somebody that you know needs medical assistance and not being able to do anything about it right now. You can't just get out and say, I got you, sweetheart. You know, we're going to go to the hospital and we're going to make sure you're okay. You have to get the right personnel to her. It takes its toll.
We're going to pick up 2 of the paramedics like you see.
With the paramedics making very slow progress down the mountain to the victims, Mike decides to try something that they've never attempted before.
I need more paramedics. I need more help. So I told the fire department there, I said, hey, can you get me two more paramedics and we put on the helicopter? I knew the paramedics hadn't been trained. They hadn't a clue about helicopters there. But with a little bit of on-site training there, and we put them in one of our safer devices, which is a horse collar. It's not a rappel. I can get them into the situation. The fireman might be a little apprehensive at the time, but we can get them into the situation there safely, and we can get 2 more paramedics down there without any danger of knocking rocks on the victims.
Here's the plan. We're going to go in, we're going to drop these 2 guys off where Paul and Daryl are. Then we're going to hoist the victim up. Then we're going to hoist the 2 paramedics up. We're going to go to the hospital, okay? Okay. Are you guys talking to this helicopter here? Yeah. Yes. They don't got to come back for more? Well, we'll see what happens. He's on the hook, right? He's on the hook. Paramedics in, okay. He's on the hook. Okay, your power's good. There's going to be a little bit of hoisting here, Bruce. Don't go any more forward. Oh, man, major rocks up in there. See that? And they got themselves blocked with a pack. Okay, the load is coming on. Load is coming on now. Okay, here comes the victim.
The victim, a 16-year-old girl, is in critical condition. The paramedics are also hoisted from the scene to continue trauma care on the way to the hospital. The patient has suffered many lacerations, a broken leg, a concussion, and the complete separation of her nose from her face.
This TLC program is sponsored
Monday night on TLC. Sleep tight.
Air Rescue 5 paramedics Paul Hoffman and Daryl Earhart continue working after hoisting one of the daughters into the helicopter.
We're going to do everything we can between where we are in the hospital. We put oxygen on her, we put a monitor on her and see what her heart's doing. We would be starting an IV on her and reassessing her because we're going to want to report to the hospital what we now have and make sure that they're ready for us when we get there. The hospitals will be contacted and we'll be giving them a flight time of arrival.
We land on the Huntington Memorial Pad with a 16-year-old. She is what we call a trauma patient there. She's one of the most critical patients that you can bring in. It's protocol. Our paramedics have to stay with her until they get down to the emergency room and relay all the pertinent information about her to the emergency staff that's going to accept her.
All right, let's go.
Back at the scene, paramedic Rick Hernandez is working with a ground-based rescue unit and has hiked down to the youngest daughter.
She had some major head lacerations, obviously a broken arm and a puncture in her neck, which I wasn't sure if it affected her airway or not. So what we wanted to do is package her up immediately and get her off to a trauma center.
As the Air 5 helicopter returns, the team learns that the mother has been pronounced dead at the scene. The father, though critically injured, is still alive.
We knew that he was very, very serious and he needed to get to the hospital too. He was farther down the slope. He was probably 375 feet down. We went and picked him up, hoisted him out.
Now, here comes the victim. Steady, right? Okay, you look okay, right? Okay, you can ease up a little bit, Bruce.
I'm going to ease out just a little bit, okay?
Whatever you want to do, ease out, ease up. Sounds good to me.
Rick and a fire department paramedic follow the patient into the helicopter to continue treatment. Due to the terrain, paramedics were unable to administer oxygen and fluids to the patient at the accident scene. They will use the helicopter as a flying ER.
We have the luxury on a helicopter of a relatively stable platform, minimal amount of vibration. It allows us to do a better job in doing all the things we need to in starting IVs and resuscitating the patient.
The patient survived the transport, but later died in the ER from massive internal bleeding and extensive head wounds.
It's always difficult for everybody, paramedics, the doctor, the pilots, when a patient does not survive all the efforts in trying to stabilize them and resuscitate them and transporting them. No matter how long you do this or how many of these you've seen, it never gets any easier.
The two young girls who were thrown from the car as it tumbled down the rocky cliff did survive, thanks to the work of all the rescue units who responded that day.
Hi, I'm Bruce.
Taylor.
Hi, Taylor. It's nice to meet you. How old are you? You must be about 5 or 6, huh?
Air Rescue 5 is a law enforcement unit, but crew members appreciate the difference between rescue and patrolling city streets.
Instead of being a bad guy in the neighborhood all the time, you know, you get to get out and help little kids and Boy Scouts and older adults and senior hikers and everybody in the mountains there that needs help. You get a chance to help them there.
Yep, that was it.
I have a job that I love, that gives me some excitement, and I look forward to going to work to do, and gives me some satisfaction when I'm done.
I love this job, I really do.
Yeah, if you can love a job, this is it. I really, really enjoy what I do. My personal life is devoted to this.
Okay, we're gonna go feet first. Okay.
When it comes down to it, the icing on the cake is Air 5. And I think the main talent is that we will not give up, that we will continue working until the job is done.
And for the crew of Air Rescue 5, there's always time for one more rescue.
Air 5, can you respond to a possible vehicle over the side, mile marker 5.22 on Big Tahunga Canyon Road? Air 5?
Air 5, that's affirmative, thank you.
Now on Adrenaline Rush Hour, see how Nashville paramedics handle the collision of Southern hospitality and big city problems. A world premiere next on TLC. And feel some adrenaline in your online experience. Head for TLC.com.